it's not just the random guy at the party who drinks VB. That's got to be the red flag. Never take.
Yeah, never listen to investment advice over a sausage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to write that down.
Yeah, that's my slogan. Fat Profits. Don't listen to the bloke with a sausage. Welcome to Fat Profits Podcast. My name's Corey and this is Ben. This podcast is about property finance and more. Here we're going to talk about all things around lending, purchasing, and also business and investment stories. This is not financial advice. This is general advice. We are mortgage brokers, so we do this every day. We don't recommend that you take this podcast and action this yourself. Please take this to a professional.
Well, g'day and welcome to Fat Profits Podcast with Corey and Ben. How you going, Corey?
Good, Ben. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I love the intro music. That was your band, I believe.
Spectacular. Ripping into the bass.
Yeah, nice. Very good. The old past life of a broker.
Past life of a broker.
Rock and roll. Look, we will talk about that because you've got some stories. But today we have got quite a big show on. So we want to talk through some borrowing capacity scenarios. We want to talk through some lender scenarios and investor scenarios. But today I want to start because what we're going to do, we're going to have a bit of fun with this, but we're going to make some predictions for the year.
Yes, we are.
And if you get it wrong, there will be punishments.
Yeah, what is the punishment? What should we do?
Look, I've got some thoughts, but there's going to be some rewards if you get it right too. Okay. So that's going to be a bit of fun to look into that. And then finally, we've got an investment story, which I think we're starting with you today.
Yep, we're starting with the horror stories and the good stuff and all those things.
Yeah, so the whole goal of this is really to equip people who want to do the investment thing and get it all right. But today, to start, we're going to do some predictions. So at this point, we're early 2026. Things changed. It was like we woke up in October. Mm-hmm. And it was a whole new world.
Yep.
The atomic bombs had dropped.
Yes.
And we had nuclear winter to deal with. So what's your prediction, though, heading into 2026?
Yeah.
Lead us off on a prediction around lending in 2026.
Yeah, well, it's been very aggressive since October, even as recently as, 2-3 weeks ago. Lenders are consistently dropping out of...
Well, Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Yeah, there was stuff coming out about major banks, and the regulator is targeting investment lending. Mm-hmm. So when the APRA, the regulator, is looking at these things, they're looking at, well, how much of the market is settling in investors, and we're at 40%. If you look at the banks, they're sitting around 10 or 12%, but the regulator wants the market down at 20%. So they're putting the screws into these lenders to really aggressively turn it down. But my prediction is that it's not the last bank, and I don't think what they've done will reduce the percentage enough. I think it's going to get harder. And I think they'll start to put more screws in towards these non-bank lenders. Even though they're not ruled by that, they'll make other things happen.
So more aggressive policy changes to come.
Yep, they want to reduce investment lending.
And I'm going to get you on record how many interest rate rises are going to happen this year. We've had one.
We've just had one. I think there's going to be another 3. The next one's going to be in May or June.
Right. All right. Well, you've heard it here first. There's 2 predictions from Corey. My prediction is that third tier lenders are going to, for a season, adopt some of the measures.
I think so too.
So, well, you can't steal mine. You can't just I agree.
I can technically do whatever I feel fit, mate. I could wear no t-shirt and do this podcast. Should I? Probably not.
It's not a can I, it's should I.
Well, do the people want to see it? And the answer is
no.
Well,
we don't know yet. Let's put it out to the podcast, to the team. If you want to see that, and if there's an appetite for it, we can provide. Well, look, there's a ton of predictions there. We've got 3.
Yes.
And so we'll see how they go in the coming months, and we'll report back on those when and if they happen. Look, for the sake of a lot of people watching, if those come true, there's going to be some tough days ahead.
Some pain, yeah.
I guess that's a whole reason why we do this podcast is this is not a straight line. Investment is not a straight line. And there's a lot of people out there. Look, we can help as brokers, owner-occupier, first-home buyer. These are fairly straight walk. If it's A to B.
Yeah.
There's a really simple formula to do that. But investment lending these days is like comparing a GP dealing with a flu, someone with the flu to heart surgery.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of the podcast and what we're doing here is about, we want to help make investment easy. And look, we're never going to make it straight line. It's never going to be A to B.
No.
But we would hope, and we know, and we work damn hard as well to make sure that if you're an investor and you work with us, you got the best chance of doing what you want to do.
That's right.
So, look, you're the mastermind behind Source Financial. You've been a broker for a long time, and even this podcast is birthed out of both hope but also frustration.
Yes.
And so for us both, we want to help people. We want to help people achieve their goals. But essentially, the next few months, what's lined up? What are we looking to do in the next few months? Give us a bit of a picture of some of the topics even that we're going to cover.
Yeah. So look, Fat Profits is far more than just what property and lending is doing. We do want to talk to business people. We do want to talk to other investors as well and hear their story. But the objective is for people to be informed. And the objective is for people to comfortably build their own team that they trust, right? Because again, same with brokers, you're going to, if you were to talk to me about first home buying, can I figure it out? But could I, off the top of my dome, talk about every single bank and every single policy? The answer is no. But if you talk to me about investing, I could talk for hours on it, right? So the objective is for people to comfortably learn and hear from people that they might align with. So that's going to be buyers agents. It's going to be other business owners that have invested. It may even be some banks as well, and some investors that we get online. But the objective is for people to be informed, educated, and start to feel like they can trust someone that's just, we're not suit and tie brokers. We're average, we're dads. We're a normal team. We're a normal people, and we want to be there for people sitting on the sideline.
And I'd regularly have the conversation with people, and they go, "What would you do?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you do, Corey? What would you do, Ben, if you're in this situation? Well, the way that we do investment, we're going to talk about our investment stories as well. But it's not about us telling you exactly what to do. It's us putting the right information in your hand. Because as a broker, our job's to educate.
Yeah.
And we have a requirement that our clients have an understanding of what we're doing with their portfolio as part of our own, regulation and stuff. So I think it's critical in this podcast is that we're actually trying to give the tools to other people so that they kind of have a bit of an idea, so they're not just out there flailing in the wind. So I think it's important to talk about something that you've talked about. You've been doing a bit of social media recently and we're enjoying it, but you've been talking about a certain woman named Sharon a lot. Why?
Oh, look, the Sharons of the world is my version of Karen, right? So Karen and Sharon. Sharon, I don't know how many times I've heard people say, my mum, my dad, my auntie, my cousin, my brother, my friend did this or said that and says this and says that, when they've got no track record. And because we deal with hundreds and hundreds of clients in a year, and we do that and we see the results, the point of that is, don't listen to the person next to you who doesn't know what they're talking about, don't have a track record. Come to the people that are part of a team and that have done that. They've got a track record. If I want to build my business and build my leadership, I'm not going to ask my cousin. I'm going to seek out somebody who's done what I want to do. You're going to take from them what you need, right? So that's the target. I don't listen to what other people are doing. Find the people that have done what you want to do. And adopt that, and we're doing that for investors. And
it's interesting because it's not just the random guy at the party who drinks VB. That's got to be the red flag. Never listen to investment advice over a sausage. Yeah. We need to write that down.
Yeah, that's my slogan. Fat Profits. Don't listen to the bloke with a sausage.
But often what you're going to see is it's not just the random guy at the party.
Yep.
It's often even accountants. Oh, how many times would we deal with an accountant and they do not understand what we do?
No, not so many times.
And they're telling their clients, you need to do X, Y, Z. Well, they don't understand credit. They don't work with policy every day. I've had accountants tell clients you should be doing ABC working with this bank, and that bank don't even work with that client. Yeah. And so the client's coming with these weird expectations, and that's what Sharon does. Sharon creates a fake world and then encourages people to live within it.
Yep.
And by the time they arrive to us, it's not just educating them on lending, it's having to break down all the preconceived ideas. And that's what Sharon does, creates a pretty weird world. And I think it's, if you've got a Sharon on your team, whether it be ill-informed family member or an ill-informed accountant, who's on your team is really critical in this.
Very. Yep.
And so, so what does having a good team around you mean for you as an investor?
Yeah, I think it's the difference between progressing and not progressing. And what I mean by that is if you're looking to build a portfolio, there's got to be some type of plan. And we know that plan can change, right? In lending, we've got to be able to pivot and change, but the ultimate goal and the plan is still the same. How we get there is different, right? If we look at the new investment changes and lending changes, that's change for people, right? But what it means is that, number one, first and foremost, you are being educated and you are understanding what you're doing. Number two, you've got the right accountant that is aligned probably with the broker and potentially a buyer's agent. I think sometimes it's not about going aggressive. I think sometimes it's about landing the first plane. I think people think that they need to build a big portfolio all in 1 year. Sometimes it's just about landing that first plane, and I think the right team will be able to assess what things look like for you, and I'll be able to pull you back. That's your goal. Let's just get the first win on the board. And sometimes it's just about multiple wins until you become sufficient in doing those things. So the right team will hold you back at times, and intentionally, because it's prudent for you, and the right team will be able to go, let's push. But they'll never put you in a bad position. So I think the right team, it's always about strategy and education. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
And a track record.
And so the next few months, I think the goal of this podcast is, in the next few months especially, we want to guide people through and put really good information in your hands. I would probably say, if you want to be an investor and you don't have someone talking about what we're talking about at the moment, you need to find your team's not right.
Yeah.
If your team aren't talking to you about the changes, if your team aren't talking to you about this, and if your team aren't taking steps now, like for us, we added 8 new lenders to our panel in 6 weeks in September. Now that was before everything hit. Everything went crazy in October, and people are like, oh, so you knew it was happening? No, we just understand. We're always ahead of the game. We're always thinking like that. And there are people now who wouldn't be lending because they're used up their lenders.
Correct.
But they can lend with us because we're ahead of the game. And I think for us, we want people to be able to achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah. And
we work damn hard to make sure that we're a broker who can do that. Mm-hmm. And I think if you don't have an accountant and a broker and buyer's agent or whoever you want to add to that team around you, who understand what's actually happening, what's coming, because there's a lot coming, isn't there?
A lot, yeah.
There's stuff that's been announced and they're going, oh, it's going to be X, Y, Z. And you're like, what's all the ABCs? Oh, we don't have the ABCs of that policy yet, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And so we're already taking steps on that. So the next few weeks and months of this podcast are going to be that. Your social media is going to be talking about it too.
Yes.
So make sure you follow.
I want to say one thing, a good question to ask. I don't know how many times a client comes to us and they've started an investment portfolio and they've done a pretty good job. They might have bought 2 properties, but they're at capacity. They're locked up. And you have a conversation with these brokers. I don't think there's not really bad mortgage brokers. It's a really good industry, but there's specializations. And sometimes you talk to some of these clients and you go, well, what did you tell your broker? What was the goal? I told them I wanted to get to $100,000 in cash flow through property, and they just, in their mind, the broker probably thought, well, they can't borrow, they can't do this, can't do that, so they've capped them out and there's not a plan. I think the question to ask a mortgage broker is, do you deal with this type of thing a lot? If I want to build if I want to buy 4 properties this year, what would the process be? What's the strategy? And if there isn't a yes and what I mean by a yes and is if I buy this property today, what can I do tomorrow? If there's no answer to that, you're probably in the wrong hands. Yeah. Right. That's an easy question to ask. Right.
And look, if we had $1 for every time someone came to us, and they've been with that, again, we're not talking about. I don't think there's brokers out there who are malicious.
Not at all.
They're just. This isn't the pool that they play in.
You're correct.
So yeah, look, it is going to be important, and we're not doing this just because we have nothing to do with our time. We've got families at home, but we actually really want to help people, and I think that's really the heart of this. So stay tuned is what we'd say to everyone listening. Follow social media, jump on board with that, but also give us a call. You can follow through to Source Financial and book in a 15-minute strategy. And in 15 minutes, we can do a lot. We can give a lot of answers. So we'd love to be able to help with all that kind of thing. So now into probably another important thing, a part of building team is, we're trying to build a team here too. Firstly, we have TGM Accounting on board. How about you explain them? Because they are sponsors of this program.
Yes. Source Financial is the brokerage that sponsors this program, and TGM Accounting. I started TGM Accounting with my business partner. I think we're at 2 years ago now. And the purpose of that was to have accountants that aligned with property investing strategies, but also could help business owners, right? So we get a lot of business clients where you get a person's tax return, they say, I earned $800,000 this year, and you look at their tax return, their financials, you're like, oh, you earned negative $100,000. So it was always about strategy from investing and strategy from an accounting point of view, and that being aligned so there could be a pathway forward for that. Tax and lending just don't align naturally. An accountant wants to reduce your taxable income. Brokers, we want your taxable income up so you can actually borrow money. And often that doesn't align. So we went out of our way to do those things so there could be some alignment. Because that's sometimes about how many times I saw a trust deed or financials, and you'd have a conversation with an accountant and they just, there's no partnership. So that was a big thing. We didn't find too much of that. So for us, it was, well, let's just start one ourselves. I've got the right people around that I already talked to, and here we are.
And the advertisement really is the fruit of what they're doing. They're kicking goals for their clients. Correct. So, look, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor TGM. We also want to give a shout out to who we want to be sponsored by, the old Dr. Pepper.
That's right.
And that's very. Now, we're not sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
We are not.
We'd like to be. So, if you're out there, Dr. Pepper, and you're listening to this podcast, which is probably a good one in a million, but there's still a chance.
We're your boys.
We want to hear from you.
And we're multi-generational. My son had a sip of Dr. Pepper and he loves it. He always asks for it. The answer's no, because we're good parents. But
now, another segment that we're kicking off is scenario of the week. Well, it's not week. Scenario of the podcast.
Yeah.
Month. Whatever. It's a
scenario of this particular episode.
Yeah. Now, a little while ago, you and I were filming. We were doing some YouTube clips, and we were just basically talking about what people can do. We created an imaginary human being named Jess.
Yes.
Who is living at home.
Yes.
On $50K a year and want to buy investment property. Now, we're talking 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago, we were doing these.
Close to 3, yeah.
Yeah. And we were saying, she can do it and all that kind of thing. Well, we're resurrecting those. Now we've got 3 years of data and we can compare.
Yes.
We want to see if Jess, single girl living at home on $50K a year, which isn't a huge wage anymore.
Not much at all.
Can she lend? Can she actually buy investment portfolio? Now, one of the key things that's changed in 3 years is that interest rates have gone down.
Yeah.
Compared to 3 years ago. They went up and then they came down. And so that's changed. The other thing that changes, and they all, every basically couple of months that they're reviewing HEM.
Yeah.
And so HEM has changed. Everything's changed. And so if you look at this now, though, Jess can still buy an investment
by the hair of her teeth.
Yeah. By the hair of her teeth, but she's still able to do it. And that's crazy. Like if you're out there and you know someone who's, 50K, living at home, they might want to use their first home buyers grant. We'll talk about them, owner occupier purchase as your first one, because there's obviously great benefits to buying first home buyers at the moment.
And there's definitely an investment strategy doing that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you just go, look, I don't know if I can do I don't really want to move out of home or where I want to live. My parents live in you're in Newcastle, Merriweather, which is where we're right now. If you're in Sydney and your parents live in Bondi, you're probably not buying in Bondi.
No.
But if you're at that point, you go, hey, look, well, I don't really care about the first home buyers grant. It's not a consequential one for me. The steps to getting investment property is kind of clever because if you're not buying today, you may as well get an investment property. Yeah. Buy it somewhere that there's going to be some growth. And by the time you sell it, you might have a couple, fair few bucks in your pocket at that point.
Yeah, and probably a bigger wage by that stage as well.
Yeah. So, look, if you are, this is a challenge. If you're out there and a Jess, not even huge income, living at home and they want to do some investment, but they don't want to move, they don't want to leave home, they're enjoying their home life,
Yep.
shoot them our way. And I
Yeah.
think there's a Dr. Pepper going to be in the
Free
mail.
Dr. Pepper in the mail.
Yeah, well,
I also want to throw out the other thing as well, just quickly. HEM is also the expenses that a bank would expect for a person earning $50,000 living at home, what they would spend per month, right? But I also want to put the challenge out that if you're not necessarily in a Sydney, or you are in an area where you can probably buy, at $600K, you only need to start with $30,000.
Mm.
If you're living at home earning $50,000, it doesn't take much to have some discipline, not have some life for a little while. Maybe get a second job, stack some shelves. You can if you have an investor mindset, the first home buyer policy, if you're in the right area and snag a property, doesn't need to be your forever home, doesn't need to be spectacular. You should have mates to move in
100%.
with you, whatever it might be. Get in and know that it's a vehicle for investment. It's not a vehicle to store and hold.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's two people to target there, and we'd want to hear from you.
100%. And look, we're going to do a whole thing on first home buyers. I know you said before that you're not like, you'd have to look up the policy, but at the end of the day, it's pretty straightforward for a lot of these.
It is very, and we've certainly helped some first home buyers
100%.
as well.
So that's the scenario. Now, final thing is we actually want to kick off into an investor story.
Yeah.
And we've got some pretty cool investor stories from our clients. But I thought before we do talk about all our crazy success stories with clients, talk about us. Now, Corey, you are an investor.
Mm-hmm.
How about you give us a rundown of your investment?
Yeah. Look, I think whenever you're starting to learn from an investor yourself, or you're using a team of investors, those people have been through the muck and hopefully save you from having to go through that muck. So I think in a couple episodes, we'll talk about a horror story that I've currently going through, which is a real big horror story. My investment journey is obviously got married fairly young. We had a whopping household income of $120,000 living in Sydney. Now that doesn't paying rent of, $800 a week and having young kids and all those type of things. There's not much you can do. So with my skill of, learning investing, and again, I didn't just stumble in it. I'm not well educated or any of those things. I stumbled across these things, and my investment journey started off with getting in with developers. And what I mean by getting in developers was, instead of earning a commission, my negotiation was I'll do the financing and I'll negotiate upside. That was probably our first investment. We negotiated an upside on resale, and we were able to get our first cash, and we kept doing that for a while until we got to a point where we could start getting land and looking at duplexes. That was probably the goal for us, doing mini development. And leading up to kind of COVID, that was fairly successful. Property prices were just skyrocketing. Values were pretty low to get into land. So that's largely at a pinch what we did. We would never hold. We would construct or subdivide and sell to reduce debt. Obviously, as I started a new business, Source Financial's only hit 3 years old, so there's a period where I did stop. Our last investment was another developer where we were able to negotiate reduced price on land and bought land, and when we sold that, we made a couple $100,000. We've been able to buy our pretty big block on our home. So that's largely been my investment journey. But during that period, because I learnt the structures and how to do these things, we were able to get clients to do the similar thing. So largely a lot of my client base were people developing property or doing joint ventures. So that's largely what I did. Didn't have the cash, so what skill could I offer to somehow get in?
But you also had to deal with your own personal finance stuff and get
Yeah.
yourself market ready. That was a big part of your journey. Was you weren't like one day you went, oh, I'm going to do some investing.
No.
It was, I'd like to do some investing. Can I do it? No, I can't.
Correct.
And you had to turn your personal ship around. That was how long did that take?
It took about 3 years to turn that around. So I didn't have much financial background, didn't have much education from family or anything like that. So I got into some pretty severe consumer debt. Right, we're living in Sydney, and to be honest with you, bills were getting paid, but we'd fall behind on certain things, and we just overspend. Right, we didn't budget well. My wife and I didn't communicate those things very well, but we then had to turn those things around, become very disciplined. And it got to a point where all of a sudden we did have surplus cash and we were able to change those things. I also worked harder and upskilled myself and got into other industries. I was able to turn those things around, but it was pretty severe. I think, if we were to look back, I don't think I'd be able to do what I'm doing today because my credit file was just so shot. Like it was really, really bad that we did the wrong thing. So I'm not an example I'm probably a good example of what not to do at the beginning. And those are some of the things that we talk about pretty importantly. We're not a fan of buying a $60,000 car when you're 20. We're a fan of buying a $5,000 car and just suck eggs. The good cars will come later, right? Financial discipline is probably the most important thing in investing. So it took a long time. There was a lot of hurt around that, and we probably had to support family members as well. There was a whole bunch of things around that, but that's been largely our investment journey. And we've built this business, and we've put a lot of money into that from a lot of the investments we have made, and we've also got our property. And I'll talk about Horror Story in a couple of episodes, but we're probably at a point now that we've done the investing part for our business. The businesses are going well. We're probably at a point now it's time for us to start jumping back in, and our process is going to be different. We did well, but I don't think the development space is
so
back yet. It's still very ugly, and it's an area that people should avoid. And we'll talk about the horror story in a couple episodes. But because of the things I've learned and the things I've made mistakes on, we've been part of building some clients. I think last year we were part of when we look at the whole portfolio of clients, we're upwards of 50 million in equity for our clients in 1 year. So we've got a track record of doing that. You've got a team that have made the mistakes in the past, but have done well on other things. But the investment journey has changed, and I think the pivot's got to be a bit different. So that's high level my investor journey.
Very cool. Well, look, that's it for this episode. We are going to be jumping back in not long, so stay tuned. In the meantime, follow our socials, and we are going to have a bunch of fun in the next little bit of time. So thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Benny.
Thanks as well, TGM, for sponsoring this, and Dr. Pepper. We're looking forward to hearing from you.